In this lecture, we're going to learn about the comma operator. And this is an operator that is going to allow you to group multiple expressions and treat them as if they were one expression. And this is the same technique that was used in the last lecture to set up multiple declarations for one loop, but I really want you to be aware of what is happening there. So the comma operator works like this. We're going to have multiple expressions. If you look at this result variable here and what we have on the right of the assignment operator, we have a compound multiplication on this number 1. We have a subtraction from number 2, which is another expression. And we have this compound addition to number 3, which are really 3 expressions. But what we can do, we can use the comma operator to separate them. And what this entire thing is going to evaluate to is what we have in the last position in this comma separated list of expressions. So the value of result is going to be what we have in the last expression in this list of expressions here. I really hope this makes sense. And if we look at what we are trying to print here in this program, we're going to print number 1, we're going to print number 2, we're going to print number 3. But the important thing I really want you to see is what we store back in this result variable here. What is that going to be? It is going to be what we have in the last expression of this comma separated list of expressions, and that happens to be what we have stored in number 3 here, because that's the value this entire expression is going to evaluate to. So let's break this down and really understand what is happening. When the compiler tries to evaluate this, it's going to do this from left to right because the comma operator is left to right associative. So we're going to start from the left. If we go here, we're going to increment. The increment variable is going to be incremented by 1. It's going to become a 6. We're going to multiply this 6 with whatever is in number 1, and we're going to get a 60. And that 60 is going to be assigned back to number 1. So after this expression, if we print number 1, we're going to get a 60. Okay, now take a look at the second expression we have. What we are doing, we are taking number 2 and subtracting whatever we have in our increment value after we increment it by 1. So remember, there was a 6 in there the last time we used this thing. Now it's going to become a 6. We are going to take number 2, which is 20, and minus 7, we're going to get a 17. But notice that we're not storing this 17. So after we execute this statement here, the 17 is going to disappear. It's not going to be used anywhere. And if we print number 2, we're going to still get number 2. So this is something that trips off many beginners. So you have to be very careful here and notice that the value we get from this expression here is not stored back in number 2. So number 2 is going to still be 20 when we print it here. Okay, after we do this second expression, we're going to go up and do the expression number 3. And what we're doing here, we're going to increment again, and this is going to become an 8 now. We're going to have an 8 value in this variable increment. What we're going to do, we're going to add that to whatever we have in number 3, which is 25, and we're going to get a 33. This 33 is going to be stored back in number 3, and if we print number 3, we're going to get a 33. But after we do this, what are we going to assign back to result? And that's going to be the value of the last expression in this comma separated list of expressions. And the last expression is going to evaluate to a 33. We just saw that. So that 33 is going to be assigned back to result. And if we print result, we're going to get a 33. Take some time to really understand this because it can be confusing to beginners, but this is really what we just described here. Now that you have an idea about this, we're going to head over to Visual Studio Code and run this and see the output here. Here we are in our working directory. What we're going to be working on is comma operator here. We're going to grab our template files pretty quick and bring them where they should be in comma operator. And we're going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. And we are going to grab the code we want to use and put that in here. It is exactly the same thing we saw in the slides. Let's try to run this and see that we get what we expect. We're going to bring up a terminal and we are going to build with GCC as we always do. So let's run this. We're going to clear so that we have some breathing room. And if we run Rooster, we're going to see 60, 20, 33, and 33, and this is really what we expect. This is really all we set out to do in this lecture. I hope now you have a better understanding of this comma operator. It is left associative, and the result of it is going to be whatever you have in the last expression in your comma separated list of expressions here. We are going to stop here in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to learn about range-based for loops. Go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.